Yo, let's go, baby. How we doing today?
SBR.
Talk to me, man, because I've been on like back-to-back calls today. Um,
Yeah,
is it happening? He signs an executive order for Bitcoin. What do you know? What do you know right now?
it's too fresh, so I don't know all the details, but from what I've seen, he signed an executive order about building up a stockpile of Bitcoin and, of course, the bullshit crypto assets as well, whatever those are. But the news was, pump Bitcoin up from what 102 to 105, 106, something like that, and I guess the market is just trying to take in the news. We're at 103. But it doesn't matter, because it's a huge deal. It doesn't matter what the price is doing today. Long term, the price is going to go up anyway, but this is going to be a huge catalyst for price. And maybe those crazy predictions that everyone was making aren't that outlandish. 500K Bitcoin in 2025, totally doable. Max Kaiser says 2.2 million. I don't know if that's this year, but soon. I mean,
How retarded do you have to be selling Bitcoin here? Like, yeah, I go
yeah,
full
yeah.
retard. You never go full retard.
You never go full retard. I think if you're selling it, it's two reasons. You're broke and you're trying to stay solvent, and it finally hit a price target that you think you can, is good enough for you. The other reason you're selling it is, well, you're just trading it. You're seeing people put out short or long positions, and then you're getting wrecked that way with leverage. And I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of the price volatility that we're seeing. But yeah, if you're selling Bitcoin and you're like, I'm just done with this asset, I'm going to rotate into something more stable, you're a freaking moron. You're an idiot.
Yes, yes, yes. It's just
Retarded.
it's a fact of life. I wish I had more details about the news, but you're telling me now for the first time, it's the first time I'm hearing it.
It's the first time I'm hearing it.
Wow. Wow, it's the first time it's the first time I'm hearing this. Of course, we all have been anticipating something like this for a very long time. Listen, I just hope that it's it's going to be a shitcoin bag of stuff. But I
Yeah.
did see something promising. I'm gonna pull this up right now.
Oh, is it a crypto project you like? World Liberty Financial?
Dude, this is something that Pierre Richard actually posted. He looked at the bill or whatever, the documentation, and in the words, right, in the yeah, it says, I'm gonna quote the quote unquote, the executive order prohibits agencies from undertaking any action to establish, issue, or promote CBDCs. That's big. So fuck Ripple and XRP and that whole centralized government, the Orwellian
Right.
project that they have going. You know what? Fuck everyone that's in XRP and Ripple too. You just got to be a complete statist to be rooting for Ripple at this point. And you say, oh, well, Bitcoiners, you guys want a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And I thought that the point was to separate, money from state. And it's like, this is separating money from state, you fucking idiots. Like,
Right. And
they're
yeah,
not,
you're playing by
because
the
they
same
can't
rules.
they can't control Bitcoin. The game theory is that everybody will own Bitcoin on
Right.
their treasury or self-custody or whatever. It doesn't mean that now the state controls Bitcoin. Like, you just don't understand what you're saying, or you're
Right.
so far removed from principles at this point, or just butthurt that you didn't buy Bitcoin that you're not willing to buy it now. You'll buy it. If you're not buying it now, you'll buy it when it's 250K or north of a million out of necessity. So you might as well now. And all these Ripple shills, like, I mean, imagine, I understand that they must just be so down bad that the cognitive dissonance is so strong that they've had to convince themselves that it's the right thing to do because, well, if governments are going to roll out CBDCs anyway, then we might as well be a part of that change and
Right.
exert influence. Miss me with that. Completely miss me with that. That is a bunch of malarkey. And all you want is to get your bags pumped, and you've got
Right.
no principles. Okay?
I yeah,
Miss me with it.
you're right. You're right. I think, Bitcoiners, we want our bags to be pumped to, I'll admit that.
Yes.
Yes. but
Yes.
we're everyone's playing by the same rules. No one controls
Yeah.
Bitcoin. You could make an argument that too much mining has been centralized, but that doesn't mean that Bitcoin can be controlled by the miners. The node runners are the ones that decide what gets put, or they're the ones that decide what Bitcoin is and what it isn't. And
Yeah.
I think that we're not looking for $1 million Bitcoin, $10 million Bitcoin so that we can rotate into something else or whatever. Like Bitcoin is the thing that everybody is going to use. We might be a little earlier than the guy next door. I'm not an OG, I'm not an original guy, but I can see the world benefiting from a decentralized peer-to-peer electronic cash system. That's what Bitcoin is. Permissionless,
My-
decentralized,
yeah.
and I think that's why every country is going to hold it, every company is going to hold it, every city is going to hold it to some degree. And the people that aren't buying it, they're going to get it in their 401k, their pension, their retirement. They're going to get it in their stock portfolio. So you will get Bitcoin, even if you are a huge Bitcoin hater. You buy any company in the NASDAQ 100 in the next 2 years, and it will have Bitcoin in it. So I think that, the XRP guys, the crypto guys, we are in for a lot of confusion. And, I don't think President Trump's doing anyone any service by doing a strategic digital asset stockpile. It should be Bitcoin.
Yes. People that say that the number go up is something silly. I mean, I just think about the power that everyone gets from a number go up technology. Do you think Ross is free right now without the Bitcoin number going up the way it's went up? If
Right.
Bitcoin failed, Ross is still in prison.
Yeah. For 2 lifetimes plus 40 years.
The only reason he's out is because Bitcoin number go up. Uh,
Right.
Not to take away, obviously, his mom, Lynn, all
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
work he did, and from libertarians that maybe aren't Bitcoiners yet, but like
Right.
this was a Bitcoin thing. Thomas
Right.
Massey was on record saying that he really felt that this type of prosecution, cruel, which is cruel and unusual punishment, 2 lifetime sentences plus 40 years, cruel and unusual punishment, is was so harsh because they wanted to kill Bitcoin. They wanted to find a way to
Right.
suppress it by extension. And the fact that Bitcoin has prevailed and Bitcoiners have been, for all these years, shouting to free Ross, it's and then you got a Bitcoin president. We can know he's a shitcoiner, but okay, he's also doing some Bitcoin stuff. The fact that that's part of the agenda, this perfect storm of things, a beautiful storm of things to have Ross go free, but it doesn't happen without number go up technology. So yeah, just hodling is a use case. Okay. You can't tell me it's not because my life has improved significantly because I've been able to hodl Bitcoin. Okay. So
Yeah.
don't try and tell me that like, no, that's not a use case. You have to be spending it. And well, listen, I'm not in a part in the world or at a point in my life or doing things in my life where I actually need to cross borders with immutable money. People are, that's great, but I'm at a point in my life where I'm trying to build something for my family. So yeah, the number
Right.
go up technology does kind of work for me
Yeah.
personally. Can we just admit that? Is that
No,
okay? Is that
it's
is that
fine with
okay?
me.
Do we need these people's
Yes.
permission?
No, dude. I fist bump. I think that's great. And I'm the same way. I'm not spending my Bitcoin. I think that the people who do spend their Bitcoin have a lot of it. And they're like, I'm going to shave off some sats and buy something, artwork or whatever, something from a pleb or buy a cup of coffee. I mean, that's no big deal. Go ahead and buy a cup of coffee with a Lightning Network. I don't care. But the circular economy sort of idea, people saying we got to start the circular economy. No, we don't. We are in the accumulation phase. For the next 10 years, get as much Bitcoin as you can. If you want to spend some, go ahead. If you need to sell some because you're in a financial pinch, go ahead. I mean, we can't all be stringent, holding to the last sat. If you can, more power to you. But I agree. This is about building up as much Bitcoin as you possibly can, holding on to it for 4 to 10 years, and watching your wealth and purchasing power grow over that time period.
Yeah, amen, brother. I would say that you're actually helping by hodling.
Yeah.
That's a nice little.
Helping by hodling.
Helping by hodling. You know,
I
the
like that. Little
little
sisters of the hodlers.
rainbow, like a little rainbow, helping by hodling, or like an inspirational poster or something like
Yeah, I
that.
mean, you're making Bitcoin more scarce when you hold it, you know?
Right
And
next to the coffee machine in the break room, if you work at a corporation. Helping by hodling.
I like it. If there are any Bitcoin companies, that's a good put that next to the HR posting.
Yeah, but the so then the ones that came before us and have been hodling Bitcoin for a decade, you get to a point where now you're going to start spending it, and that's good because that also helps encourage, products and services that do accept Bitcoin, and you want to patronize them by rewarding their services and products with Bitcoin. And if you've been in Bitcoin long enough that you can now afford to part with some of your sats, then yeah, I say go for it. But it's sort of like it has to come in stages. You can't just start buying it and spending it. I would say you got to buy it and you got to hold it for a couple cycles before you
Yeah.
really earn the ability to start doing that type of thing. And I've done it a little bit. I spend and I replace, like I've used Zaprite, and so I bought that with Bitcoin. Then I just bought more Bitcoin and certain things, and it feels cool. But I really try and be. It's hard. It's hard to separate the plebs from the sats. And it's a
Yeah.
hard thing to do.
And that's good though. And you're talking about 1,000 people that have enough Bitcoin where they can shave off, 10 Bitcoin or something and purchase something meaningful, or maybe 20 Bitcoin. Like we're not talking about a lot of people that can do that. There are maybe at best 300 million people around the world that own Bitcoin. Some of them have to use it because they live in countries where the currency gets devalued. But for the most part, the people spending Bitcoin, they have a lot of it. Like they're not worried about getting to one Bitcoin. And they have the luxury of being able to invest in companies with their Bitcoin. And that's if that's what you want to do. I would love to be able to do that in 10 years. Come back in 2035. Maybe the Bitcoin I've purchased is enough to be part of a Series A for some Bitcoin startup. But
Yeah.
um, I think the name of the game today is hold, hodl, keep it safe, keep it secret.
Yep. Yep. Uh-huh. That's
So three days in, what do you think? Trump's got on day one, he signed a bunch of executive orders. Day two, he freed Ross. Day three, we've got this crypto stockpile. Predator says that Bitcoin is not mentioned one time. It's just digital assets, but it's probably just because they are covering their bases, not trying to tip their hat. What do you think? We're day three and a lot's changed this week.
that's amazing, dude. I mean, are you kidding me? We've got Anthony Fauci replaced with Bhattacharya. You've got whoever came before RFK. RFK is replacing some other goon, right? You
The
got,
the guy girl,
yeah, the guy girl, right? And
Fishman.
yeah, there were so many positive. Ross is free. Um, Executive orders to close the border, digital asset discussions. We're really, this is so much winning. DEI is dead. We're killing DEI.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
DEI
tears
is dead.
about that from the woke left, but you can either you just cry yourself a river, but you better build yourself a boat because there's gonna be a lot of tears. So
I've seen the left media talk about Elon Musk and his hand gesture nonstop, while
yeah,
Trump and his team are just absolutely flooding the zone. There's too much for Trump's opponents to respond to. And someone said something very smart, and they said, it wasn't just that he defeated them at the polls, like he defeated them morally. Like he
yes,
defeated the left at the substance, like at the root. And right now, he's dismantling everything that Biden put in place or his people put in place. And what are they going to counter? When life gets better, when fuel costs come down, when energy increases, when, I saw something that Trump said inflation rates must come down, which, if you're holding Bitcoin, that's great. Interest rates, lower interest rates.
yeah,
Like you're right, we're going to win nonstop, and it's going to be so hard to combat. what's all the fruit that's going to be get produced.
Yeah, man, for sure. There's there's this book I'm reading. I read it before. I'm rereading. It's called A Guide to Pseudo Events in America. It was written in the 60s, I want to say, but it essentially was about the beast that is the media and how it evolved from just being you have news, you had one paper that went out on a weekly basis, and then it was a daily basis, and then you had news being filled from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. And when you wake up, you expect more news. So this endless consumption of media and the media is equally responsible for this as like the consumers are as well. But essentially, the fact that their business model is predicated on actually creating news that's not news. They create these sort of pseudo events. Oh, this person, I'm going to ask this question from this person, and then I'm going to go ask this other question from this person, and the
Yeah,
headline is going to be this person's fighting with this person, or this person undermines this person, whatever. It's not news, it's a pseudo event, and it's a way to control a narrative. Another example, I saw there's this Twitter account called Pop Crave, which is like
yeah,
a yeah, they've been putting
I
out
know that one.
the worst propaganda. They've been putting out the worst pseudo events. So one of the articles they put out, or maybe it came from CNN, but it said Trump administration will be deporting illegal immigrants from school zones or something. Okay, so that's a non-news item. It's a way to frame something because you look at that, you say, okay, the executive order is that we're getting rid of illegal immigrants, those with criminal records first, um,
Right.
in America. And then it's like, okay, well, where are they? Well, would you do it from a restaurant while they're eating? Would you deprive them from eating their food? What about when they're shopping for their essentials or their prescription medications? They're gonna, you're gonna deny them their prescription. Oh, and when they're in the school
Right.
zone, you're gonna do it when they're in a school zone. So
Yep.
no place. So it's like wherever they are,
It's
you're like,
manipulated.
okay, where can we think of right now that would be a bad place to deport someone? What kind of environment can
Women
we
and children.
yeah, women and children. And it's a
Yeah.
pseudo event. So it's not real. It's like the point is that they're illegal immigrants. They broke the law. They're here illegally. Many of them are criminals. And regardless of where they are, there is no safe zone. Okay.
Right.
So but getting used to, and I think we're all pretty used to the insanity that comes from the woke media, but really I think they're going to be ramping up because this is their dying breath. So they're going to be going full force into these pseudo events to try and control some type of narrative. The Elon Musk hearts out to you thing is a similar thing.
Yeah,
Although
I think they're trying though, and you say they are going with their last breath, and
yeah,
I don't think it's gaining traction. Or maybe I'm in my own echo chamber that I can just sit back and laugh at what they're doing. But
yeah,
what you're describing is exactly right. And if you pay attention to politics, it's very similar to when we come up against a budget wall and Congress has to pass some kind of resolution to get over it. And if the budget doesn't succeed and they have to shut down the government, the Democrats, they will always go out and cut the services that hurt you, the voter, the most. They won't cut government largesse where you wouldn't notice it. They'll go out and they'll cut the budget for whatever. I'm going to make it up here because I don't have it exactly, but Social Security, the firemen, the policemen, the schools, they'll cut the budget where it hurts you, not where there's actual waste and fraud and abuse.
yeah,
And they do that to make the other side look look cruel. And that's oh, Republicans are trying to, keep grandma from having her Social Security check. And you're right, it's a joke, it's fraud, it's not real, but it's how they shape arguments. And ultimately it's been successful for them for years, 30, 40 years they've been doing this, probably longer. But yeah, I think it's critical now you have to filter everything out. And I think the people you listen to, you have to trust them. And what we talked about last time, you can't really trust anybody. Everyone's got an agenda. So you have to always have kind of your propaganda filter on, no matter if you're a righty or a lefty.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're Trump is such a mastermind of manipulating the media as well. They require him actually, and he recognizes that, and he uses that to his advantage as well. So
Mhm.
it goes both ways. Um, so I don't know. It's fun. This is a fun time. There's
So
like
let's
shit
talk about
happening.
what's yeah, it is. It is fun. It's wild. I want to know, let's say, because we haven't had a chance to look at all the details. Let's just say the US does start buying Bitcoin. What's it going to do in the next 6 months before summer?
500,000.
500,000?
Yeah,
Easy, right?
I think so.
Easy. There's
I
no
think,
Bitcoin available. I mean, there's like 2 million on exchanges. Some of those are owned by people. There's 450 mined a day. Those get bought up, by MicroStrategy and BlackRock and Fidelity alone. Um,
yeah.
where's the Bitcoin going to come from that they need to purchase for the stockpile?
94% of all Bitcoin that's ever going to be issued has been issued. Okay, like exchanges are low on it, like you said. I mean, just math requires that the number would go up if they're going to be buying the levels that we expect them to buy, and that's just the United States. So other countries, nation states get involved. I mean, shit could get very crazy. It could get very crazy very fast.
You mentioned Fauci getting replaced by whoever it was, Bhattacharya. I saw that Putin, and this might not be real, but there
Is
was
this
something
real?
that
Yeah.
Putin wanted to extradite him to Russia for crimes against humanity. What's your take on that?
Bye bye, Fauci. Send him out. Send him out. Good riddance, you prick.
Do we
Prosecute.
trade him for Snowden? What if we brought Snowden back,
I'll do that.
reinstate him? He gets a pardon. He's over there in Russia somewhere, and yeah, we give him Fauci.
That would be amazing, dude. I mean, that's the type of stuff that this country needs. People don't understand that Fauci should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity.
I think we're living in a whole new timeline. I mean, what's been happening just in the last week is so different. If the other person had won the election, none of this would be happening.
Oh my gosh, dude. Could you imagine? Could you
I
imagine?
can't. I can't imagine. It would be dark.
Oh gosh, I can imagine listening to that person cackle every day. Just the amount of thank God things turned out the way that they did. Not to say, listen, we're going to criticize Trump about a ton of shit. Today is not that day. It's just he's been getting shit done. Okay, we'll criticize him when there's things to criticize.
Yeah. I kind of wonder, the CBDC talk is interesting. Great. No central bank digital currency. But similar to how we're renaming Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, a CBDC could just be called something different. It could be called Tether. It could be called,
Yeah.
you know, USD, whatever. And we could see a digital currency back 1 to 1 with a dollar that, just get rid of cash. And we've got it. It's now digital, whatever it is.
But let me just, I want to take a
Oops.
big
Sorry, I was queuing a clip up for us.
Well, if it's a good one, let's switch to it.
You want to watch it? All right. Let's see. Do you see this?
I didn't see this clip. I track pretty tight to what Marty Bent says, but I didn't see this one.
That's a funny freeze frame, by the way.
It is. He's trying to wrap his head around Trump coin. I see.
Come on, motherfucker. Let's play.
step back here because how did we wind up with the main focus of crypto being meme coins in the first place? Meme coins, which are stupid, which are silly.
Yeah.
Because when the crypto industry, I'm a California Democrat, by the way, so I'm very, very passionate about the technology sector. When the crypto community was trying to be smart, trying to be good, trying to decentralize finance, they got slammed by my beloved Joe Biden's administration, by my beloved Elizabeth Warren. They got crushed into butter, and they said, you guys are creating unregulated securities. So the more useful the coin is, the more they got attacked. The more useless the coin is, the less they got attacked. So now you have the entire crypto community piled up on hot tool coins, all kind of other stupid stuff. And so now us good Democrats say, you guys are too stupid to be allowed to fall for these scams. We're going to regulate you guys out of existence. But people just voted that they don't believe that anymore. And so here's what's going to happen. A lot of people are buying crypto as a prayer, as a prayer for a better tomorrow, as a hope that somehow something will go good for them.
Yeah,
and I'm
I'm
not saying this is good. I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to beat Trump up in a second. But how did we get here? We got here because California innovators were beat up by DC, and so all the crypto people jumped ship. Now they're Republicans. They don't want regulation, and these meme coins are all that's left.
What I'm talking about here is the role of government in protecting people, protecting regular people. And Donald Trump is, instead of filling that role.
We'll stop it there. Van Jones said some pretty good shit there.
I've never agreed with him until that clip.
No, I mean, if we're just talking about crypto and we're not talking about Bitcoin, right? I know it's pretty spot on. You see how antsy the woman, the host is?
Right.
Where she's like, well, now you're just kind of beating up on Democrats. What do you what are what are you gonna do? He's like, oh, don't worry, I'm gonna beat up on Trump in a moment here. So it's like they cannot have any objectivity or any empathy from the perspective of the other party that goes longer than a minute before they really start being like,
pull the plug,
oh, stop.
get him out, yoink
What
him
Marty
off
says
stage.
is people don't buy Bitcoin on hopes and prayers. They buy Bitcoin because it is verifiably better money that protects against the constant debasement of the dollar and can't be controlled by anyone. Spot on.
Yep. Yeah, everyone plays by the same rules, whether you're a government or a company or an individual or a family.
I do think he's accurate in terms of like putting his finger on the pulse of this nihilistic result of a world with loose money and where that administration has attacked the industry. It's made
Yeah.
a very nihilistic thing where it's like, well then fuck it. We're just gonna FOMO on these meme coins and all this bullshit, And
Yeah, you're right. And it is nihilism. And the fact that some people win and other people lose only makes it worse. You're seeing so many people who are younger, let's say 20-year-old dudes that want to be big into crypto because they want to strike it rich.
Yeah.
And it's the antithesis of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is slow and steady. You buy when you can, you put it away for a long time, and you keep living your life, working hard, doing your best, like the ant. Crypto is the opposite of that. It's get rich quick, high risk, super volatile. Most people get wrecked, but there are some people who are successful. And, you've seen Trump coin make him extremely successful. And then it is funny that he rotated it into wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum, which is an absolute shit coin. I I don't know how his circle was able to let him do that. But the differences
Time
between
we sail when that happens.
yeah, I mean the difference between meme coins, crypto, and Bitcoin is so stark, and they keep getting lumped in, and that does a disservice to anybody.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a free market maximalist, so I don't want anything to be regulated away, even if there are shit coins and meme coins and all this stuff. Let it rain and people will get burned, and that's the way that it is. But, because I really just hate this paternalistic idea that's coming from that CNN host where she's starting to say, well, that's why we need the government to protect everybody.
Right.
And they don't know what you think that you're smarter than all these people. You're an idiot. You're up there on stage, on the set talking about all this stuff. You have no idea what you're talking about. People are smarter than you, right? Or maybe you're just so dumb that you think that you need to be protected as well. But don't, what does Mark Twain about say about even though a baby can't eat a steak doesn't mean that we should ban people from eating steaks.
Right. It's safety maximalism.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be safe. We have to regulate everything so nobody gets hurt. And that's not how the real world works. It's a cruel place. And I think, yeah, trying to make everything safe and fair, you're never going to win at that game. You have to win on the merit, and you have to win because what you're investing or what you're buying is better. It's
Yeah,
not going to be the crypto.
yeah. Yeah, Mark Twain said censorship is telling a man he can't have a steak just because a baby can't chew it. Same thing applies to consumer protection, whatever. Just, whatever is bad, there's nothing that's bad that the government can't come in and make worse.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So are you bullish on the Trump administration?
I'm so bullish, dude. I'm so fucking bullish. I saw I saw I saw Joe Carlasari put out he posted something, he tweeted something, he put an X out, whatever. And it was like, I'm bullish to be clear, but there are some very bearish signs. And I'm like, I'm just straight through bullish. I'm cutting through all the bear bullshit. I'm so optimistic about the future in general that like I could not be more bullish. I feel like we're in complete control, right? My life is good. Working on the things that I want to work on. My purchasing power is going up. We've got less regulation. We've got digital asset strategy, the whole thing coming down the pike. I mean, I'm so fucking bullish. I can barely contain myself.
Are you impatient?
I'm impatient by nature. I have to fight that impatience. But my dad always said patience is a virtue. But I didn't know what a virtue was when he told me that, so I had to look that up. And when I saw
Is a virtue a good thing? Sounds good.
I'm trying to be patient. I think Bitcoin makes you patient.
It really forces you. And I get carried away with my expectations.
And
I tried to convince my wife about Jeff's Jeff Booth's. The implied price of Bitcoin is $43 million a coin.
tell me, wait, let's talk about your wife because I saw you tweeted something that she told you can't talk about Bitcoin anymore. Is that true?
Yeah, that was this morning.
Tell me about
Don't
that.
talk about it anymore.
What'd she why? What were you saying?
I talk about it too much apparently. So yeah, so I mentioned something and it might have been the Jeff Booth thing. And I was like, honey, 43 million implied value of Bitcoin. She goes, stop it. I don't want to hear about Bitcoin ever again. The kids, when they get in the car, it's all that they think you're going to talk about. Dad's going to talk about Bitcoin. It's like, yeah, I am a father to these children. I need them to learn about sound money while they're young so that, they're far better off than 99% of the world. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I did go to X and post that and getting some really terrible advice.
What advice have you been given? I haven't
So
looked at comments recently.
the best one that I saw just came in a second ago. The gains will either be life changing or wife changing.
Oh,
Make it a quote.
that's good.
But I think it's when you're married to someone like me who's really been obsessed with Bitcoin since I got it sometime in 2020 early on. Um, I've listened to every podcast. I've read almost every book. I go to the meetups, doing a podcast with you. Started a Bitcoin brand. Giving the FU to the banks. Like I'm doing all the things that the cliched pleb does. I think what I want is for someone to care about it in my real life as much as I do, and be there, uh, you know, to chat about it, to talk about it. And I mean, that's why I love what we're doing because this is a good outlet for me. Everything about Bitcoin was probably said in 2013 on some message board, but it doesn't replace the fact that I still need to go through the mental exercise. And then when I go through it, it's like reading a great book or watching a great movie. I want someone to experience it with me. And I think I've just pushed that to the limit.
Yeah, my wife hasn't told me to stop talking about it yet, but maybe that just means I'm not talking about it enough.
That's what
But
it
I
means.
do. I talk about it all the time. We go on walks together, and talking about Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin is my work and it's what's going to get our family ahead. And so I'm always just bringing it up. She's never told me to, she does a good job of just letting me exhaust myself with the things that I need to say.
Right.
And it's not like when we're having a conversation about it that it's a two-way conversation. It's more of she just like, oh, wow,
Hmm.
wow, and
She's somewhere else.
she's probably somewhere else. She's a very, very patient person. I am not a very patient person. And so I'm really grateful that she just kind of lets me get it out there. She's never gotten in the way of us taking all of our savings and buying Bitcoin or, doing things like that. She's never doubted it for 1 second. She doesn't even, since we've been dollar cost averaging, I'd be like, oh, how's the DAC going? What is it, the DAC or the D? I'm like, what does that stand for again? And she's like, the double, it doesn't. So
Double
she,
conundrum allocation.
yeah, that's a good one. That's quick. So she just, she's not there in terms of her passion and wanting to talk about Bitcoin, but I've kind of just reached the point where we're the men, right? We're the guys that are supposed to provide for our families and put our heads down and just make that shit happen. And whatever it would be, we'd get passionate about it, we talk about it, but it would, to a point, probably rub our significant others the wrong way at certain points in time because, we're obsessing over that thing. It's a good thing for our family. We want them to see that, but nothing will validate that more than actually just doing the work, saving in Bitcoin. Then in years from now, when that finally does come to fruition and it is life changing, and your wife can, feel the change, can see the things that it's provided for the family. And I think that's when we'll have our moments where it will be vindication, and then they'll say, "Oh, of course. I'm sorry, honey. I should have been more understanding at the time."
We'll see, man. If I get there, that would be great. I think the other piece is I saw at one point I opened up her Strike app and she had like $200 in her Strike account in
Yeah.
Bitcoin just sitting there. And I was thinking, that's the other thing. She doesn't buy Bitcoin. Like you said, I'm the man. I buy the Bitcoin, you
Yeah.
know. I self custody it. She could probably find it if I died and she need to figure out how to get it. But unless you're buying Bitcoin, you don't really understand it. If you bought it at $50 and watched it go to 100 and you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to put in some more. And then it grows to 1,000 and then numbers that you would are shocking to you. I think that it would have the effect that I'm looking for, because I've seen that. I've seen it go from 16,000 to 108,000. And if you bought a full Bitcoin at 16 grand and watch it go to 108, like you're on top of the world. And if you're watching podcasts from intelligent people who are saying it's going to 2 million, it's going to 10 million by 2030, I think that's totally possible. 10 million by 2030. We're talking 5 years. Like, well, I'll still have the good meat of my life left to live with Bitcoin, Lord willing, at $10 million a coin. Like, are you telling me that you're not excited about that?
I
How
know.
could you not be excited about that?
You
How
must
could you
not believe
ever,
it.
how could you
Not
ever have a
believe
bad
me.
day? Like, you cannot have a bad day, you know? Like, imagine you've got a lotto ticket and you can cash it out in 5 years.
Yeah.
What does that do for your thinking? What does that do for your mental state every day of the week? You're going to be the best so that you can make it to that 5 year mark.
Yeah, I think just well, that's why we all are on X shit posting and talking together, and we do podcasts and we listen to podcasts because when you come there, it's, you sort of like step through this portal and you're like, well, no one's really here in my real life that can truly understand and relate. And so it's an amazing thing to have a community of people that you could just talk to and be like, yeah, I'm not crazy and there's a lot to be grateful for here. And I think things like that, like the people in our real world, it just takes some time, right? And there's going to be guys that come after us that go through the same type of thing. And, we're going to be there to kind of shed some advice for them as well. So,
Yeah, I think I've resigned myself, today to realizing it's just not something I'm going to talk about at home. I don't think that I'm going to wake up and then people that live in my house are going to be interested in talking about Bitcoin with me. They're not going to. My kids aren't going to be like, "Dad, did you see the Bitcoin price?" Like, they're not going to do that. I don't think there's going to be a day where she's like, I thought that the Byzantine general, that rule was really interesting. I can't believe that someone found a solution for that. That
Yeah,
ain't happening. No, so I have to be at peace with the fact that it's just me. That's
yeah.
it.
I think too, at a point in our lifetime, it'll start to maybe be taboo to even continue to talk about Bitcoin the way that we're talking about it, because at a certain point, it's just going to be money,
Right. And nobody talks about money.
and no
I
one
don't want
talks
to
about
know how much money anybody has, you know?
right. You don't want to be like
Ugh, don't tell me.
you do it now because we're early, but eventually
Right.
it's gonna be like, no, we don't want to talk about money. We just want to enjoy the nature. We want to enjoy outside. We want to enjoy the vacations and the vacation home and the family time and all that, the stuff that the money can provide. But right now it's a revolution. So it needs to be talked about. So I get the frustration with not having somebody in the household to share that with, man. But thank God we've got this podcast and we get to vent and just get it out of
Yeah.
our system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I posted that this morning and, for me, it's got 20,000 views
Oh wow.
uh, in 6 hours.
There you go.
I,
But
what it tells me is that I'm not alone. And I know I'm not alone. But yeah, I think, being a Bitcoiner, it is hard to relate. It's hard to relate to people who aren't, and it's hard to find people that are.
yep.
You know, I think we should
True stack.
stack some sats.
Hell yeah, let's do it. I'm doing River. I always do River.
I'm doing Strike. Strike. I said last week they had a name issue. It got resolved, which I was very pleased with. They were pretty cool. Um, but
Did you
they
buy any of that Ross Silk Road swag that they put out?
I didn't. No. Mm-mm.
I did. I got a hoodie and a hat.
Oh, nice. Good for
Yeah.
you, man. That's awesome.
I just did it impulse buy. I was like, why not?
Yeah.
I'm stacking 21 today.
All right. 21,
All right, at 103,
103, 20 cent fee.
20-cent fee. Yeah, 21-cent fee for me. Buy now. Bought it. We're good, baby.
All right. I have to authenticate.
Well, you do your authentication. You're good.
All right. Now I'm good. Yeah,
Oh,
man. That's good.
you know what?
Where'd it
Hoddle
go?
just tweeted something out. He said, make no mistake, we just got rugged. Everything else is cope. And then he said, this has
He's
nothing to do with price. This changes nothing about Bitcoin, market structure, etc. But this was a political rug job brought to you by David Sachs and the parasites surrounding him. SBR is dead now. Shitcoin stockpile stands in its place. Be honest about it.
hey, he's direct. That guy's a legend. And I think we don't need to be concerned because Bitcoin's going to go up with whether the U.S. purchases it or not.
Disagree. No, he's a legend, but I disagree. I don't think just because we didn't see something that's Bitcoin only, we're Bitcoiners, we want to see that. But like, I mean, come on, man. Like, we were given a binary choice. Are you kidding me? And we've got a president that is going to roll back all these regulations, all this oversight and stuff. And like, what that does for Bitcoin? They're gonna put Bitcoin on the treasury and they'll probably put some other shit coins in there. But like, are you compared to what? Compared to
Right.
like
That's
this is
that's
a,
true.
like a binary choice, man. This is zero or one. And we got one and we won. I'm okay with this. I do not think we got rugged. I think he's
Yeah,
wrong.
I think that's a good point. And it's, Bitcoin's inevitable. And it might be cloudy, like we'd like that clear cut win, like the US is going to buy, 250,000 Bitcoin. But if that didn't happen, I don't think it's not a deal breaker. You know, things are still extremely favorable, and we are living in a new world than if Kamala had been elected. The other thing to remember is that, Cynthia Lummis brought a bill or has a bill, maybe it could be voted on, and she was just given a new appointment in the Senate. So, leading digital assets out of a subcommittee. So, I think that it's very possible that the SBR could happen. It might just not be the stockpile that Jack Mallers had referred to about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I think we are looking at doubling down. But hey, it's not just the United States. I mean, there are 7 or 8 states that are going to purchase Bitcoin and put it on their balance sheet.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I think the message is you still have time, but like every week, you don't have as much time as you did. Like you have to stack, you have to get to a number. You pick the number. Is it point one? Is it 1 Bitcoin? Is it 10 Bitcoin? Is it point oh one? Get a million sats, get 10 million sats if you can, get 100 million, but you have to do it.
Amen, dude. Amen. This is we're living in good times right now. It's a champagne problem to have.
I haven't heard that, but I like that.
Thank you. I forget where I got that. I got it from somewhere. Apparently it's a Taylor Swift song too, which I just learned
Huh.
about. I would say it all the time. It's a champagne problem. And someone told me, "Oh, like Taylor Swift." I'm like, "No."
I would have not gotten that reference.
You might stop. I have to look it up. Let me just check it real quick. Taylor Swift, champagne. Yeah, shit, it's a Taylor Swift song as well. But she stole that from somewhere that I stole it from. It just works. It's a champagne problem, baby. We're good. Life's good. Nothing to worry about. Just stack sats and be happy.
I think that's good. When you go back to the fundamentals, it's do the things, if you're fortunate, do the thing that you love to do that provides value. Take a portion of that, put it into Bitcoin, spend time outdoors, spend time with your family, take care of your body, take care of your mind, and forget about the noise. Like there is so much noise. And you had said, a couple minutes ago, the 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, like constant dopamine. I am now putting my phone like 6 feet away from me and I set a clock and I don't touch it until I finish whatever task I'm working on.
Dude,
That
it,
helps.
it's so real. I'll find myself if I'm hyper connected on any given day. I mean, I love to read. And so when I go and get into bed and I'd like open a book, it takes me 5 minutes to read that first page because I'm
Yeah.
rereading it. And my mind wants to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And it rewires your brain. I mean, it really does. So it's something I've got to be careful about is how connected I am and how much time I'm spending on X because it can impact productivity. And yeah, you don't want to feel hyper stimulated at all times because that just does nothing good for you.
Well said. Well said. I went on a walk in the woods yesterday with my dog and did the same thing. Put the phone, zipped it up in my pocket, and instead of listening to a podcast or something while I was going, I just went just nature, just walked.
Just the sound of nature, just listening to
Uh,
the
It was
yeah.
it was good. I needed that though. I needed that because I'm not going to be held down by the dopamine soaked brain. It's like I got to remember just be in the moment without the constant distraction.
Yeah, brother. Feel the twigs snap under your feet as you walk on the trail. Listen to the
Oh
sound of
yeah.
the wind blowing through the leaves
Oh
and
yeah.
the
It's like you
birds
were there.
chirping. I
Blue
mean,
sky, not a
yeah,
cloud in the sky, cool, crisp air.
that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. So I guess that's a good way to end it with advice is just get outside, touch grass, and go live in the real world. Don't spend so much time on X. Spend time on X, but not so much.
I think that's fair. I mean, it's impossible to avoid it. It is where everything's happening.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, yeah, got to balance it out.
for sure, brother. Well, anything else to add? I think that was a good little rip today. Kind of an interesting day with some digital asset SBR type stuff. And well, I guess by this time next week we'll have a lot more insight into what's coming down the pike.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's been a wild, few days, and it's just getting started. I mean, think about where we're going to be 4 months from now.
Yep. Yep. It'd be crazy.
All right, man.
Good. Uh, well, thanks everyone for joining us. Hopefully you stacked sats along the way and you've ended this show with more Bitcoin than you had going into it. Please comment, let us know what you'd like us to talk about between now and next week, and we'll be sure to bring it up on next week's show. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends, help us out, and thanks for joining us. This has been episode 11 of the Stack Show. All
Good
right.
deal.
Peace
All right,
out.
man. See ya.